The last two views that I want you to create to turn into us are the wall section views uh, that we were working on. I didn't duplicate them, I just renamed them. You probably should reduplicate them if you were keeping this as a working document, but you know, we're not going to come back to this document anyway. So anyway, let's 6 structural and 7 structural, two different wall sections, and I'm going to open up one of them, which I've, for the most part, no, I think I actually have finished. Okay. And what I'd like for you to do is zoom in. Well, notice once again, as I did with the plans, I made the text here 1/8 inch rather than the text here is 3/32, just so that we can see it better when you capture the screen. Normally, these would be like at 3/32. And notice what I did. This is wall section B. It's the one that cuts through. If you look at the structural plan, it's this one right here that cuts this direction. There's a couple of things I want you to notice. First of all, I can see the concrete block in the background. Normally, I wouldn't do this in a wall plan, but I just wanted you to do it so that you can understand if you needed to, you could do it. Um, and if we look right here, once again, in the structural plan, it's cutting through two of our joists right here. If I click on this, you can see if you need to extend the view, okay? If I pull this view back to here, then go back into the view, now that back wall isn't existing anymore, okay? So what I do want to do though is extend that so that the back wall exists, okay? Um, then I uh, named all of the structural elements that are in here. Notice I didn't name the pad because technically that's not a structural element. That's a site thing. And uh, so 24 by 12 inch continuous concrete footing rebar. And actually what I did on many of these is that if in a previous view I named it, for instance, right here, 1330K12, okay, notice 1330K12 equal spacing. So what I did was just select that text. If I can get it selected here, come on, there, oh, nope, there we go. And then I use this copy, and that copies it to the clipboard. You don't want to use this one. That's for copying objects internally within a view that you've got, okay? But if you want to take something from one view to another view, what you do is you copy it to the Windows clipboard, okay? And so I'm going to copy that to the Windows clipboard. I could choose this and copy it too, okay? And I will. I'll just go Control key and grab that too, okay? And then copy both of them. And then I'm going to go back into this view, and it's going to bring it in really large. So I'm going to show you right here. So copy, paste, and in this case, there's a variety of different pastes, and I'll show you this technique and how to use these other things in the next video. But paste from clipboard. It wants me to save the project, blah, 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 blah. Save, 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 save. Okay. And then you'll notice there's this big dotted box. Okay. That continues, that that is the range of, uh, okay. You can see the arrows aren't in the right place and anything like that. But the text did come in. And of course, we can use the arrows or we can select this text and just delete all the arrows for it right now, and we'll put them back in once we have it in the place where we want it. Same thing with this right here. We can delete all the arrows in it. Okay, and then I can move it into place and then add a leader. That's called a leader. We can add the leader back on, but I don't need those because I've already got them in there. Okay, but that's just to show you that you can copy text from one level, one view to another view. And this view is pretty much done. So I'm going to zoom in to max here, uh, and then copy it. Notice that I turned off, okay, I clipped the view using the clip, and then I turned the view off, got rid of the box around it. so that it didn't have a box. I hid the box. Uh, some people like to leave in wall sections like that, leave the box on. When I'm doing a detail section, I do, but not in these views. So anyway, um, and so there's our components, our 30K12 joist, our 1.5 inch composite metal deck right there. And notice I took all these names from those elements. Okay, 1.5 inch metal deck only. Well, we know that that's a composite deck, so I went ahead and put that in there. And then 8 inch CMU, and then I pointed an arrow right here. This wall section really isn't finished, and we will finish this wall section later on. We'll come back in and make changes, more detailed changes to it as we get into the envelope system and start adding components to it. Uh, but anyway, 6 inch concrete slab, 24 inch by 12 inch continuous concrete footing with rebar. Now, I have this other wall section though. Let's bring it up. And it doesn't have any text on it. Okay. And of course, since it's cut just the opposite, right? If we go back to structural plan, it's cut just the opposite direction along parallel with the joist. And so we see the joist in its, you know, elevation here. And then notice that since the deck runs perpendicular, the ribs run perpendicular to the joist, then the little bumpy stuffs, the little ribs show up rather than in this other section where they just show up because we've cut down the seam of one of those ribs. Okay, so what I'm going to do, okay, to make this easier on myself, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to go Control, Select, 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 Select. Okay, come up here and copy and use the clipboard copy, and then I'm going to come in here and go paste. Okay. I'm going to use, in this case, instead of paste to clipboard, since this view is a vertical view in a wall section like the other one, I'm going to use aligned to the selected view. Okay. And you'll see which view do I want to align it to. Uh, hmm. It doesn't allow me to pick this view that I'm in. Oh well, then I'll just paste it using clipboard. Okay. And you can see it there. I can get it closer to where I want it by moving the dotted arrows to kind of where I want it. I'm going to move it out here, and then I'll move all that text in once I kind of know where it goes. So I'm just going to select it all using a cross selection, and then let's see here. Let's move it by this right there because I know where I want that to be. I want that to be right there. And so remove constraints, right? And so, yeah, most of my arrows are exactly where, well, actually, I was pretty lucky. All my arrows are exactly where I wanted them. Uh, okay, and so I'm going to turn off uh, the crop. Okay, there's our beam. Somehow, I don't know how my pad got moved way down here. There's the topography, there's the pad. Interesting. Uh, let's go back here in the wall section. Is the pad down here too? Yeah, it is. Maybe I grabbed it when I grabbed the other. Okay, I'm going to move this pad. I think I can move it vertically back to where it belongs, which is right there. Okay, and that should solve it on this one too. Yeah, it moved it back up to there. It's also not out to the extent of where it should be. Okay, it should be out here. Um, so I would have to go back into, let's go back into the finished. Let's see where I got things still turned on. Finished floor right here. And, oh, okay, so there's the pad right there, right? And it is. Let's escape out of move. Okay, and we'll tab this. And Oh, somehow I moved that. I don't know how I did it, but we'll edit the boundary and move it back to where it belongs. Okay, lock that into there. I don't know. Lock that in there. Anyway, that's a good example of showing you if you find something that wrong or how you should fix it. Okay, and so now it's in the right place. So now we have really quickly the structural wall section of the second view there. And I may want to fix some things. One of the things you may notice is that I changed this street level to bottom of footing because that's the same distance down the bottom of the footing is. And since this is a structural plan, uh, I'm more interested in the structural location of things rather than the street, like I might be in a site plan. Uh, so I'm going to move this out a little bit too, and also fix this while I'm at it so that this arrow here, okay, isn't in the middle of the text. That's not good. Okay, so anyway, they're finished as far as I'm concerned, and you can see the topo surface right here. Once again, I don't understand why the topo surface is so far down there. It should actually be way up here at the top of curve. Let's move that too. So I'm going to move to top of curve. Oh, and now I'm going to have to move this from here back down. Okay, so now that's supposedly fixed. I don't know how those got moved, but that's a good example of how you can fix it. Sometimes you can't move things in a view like I did. You'll have to go to a plan view and change its elevation. But in this case, that wasn't the case. So I'm going to align this view so that I can get as much of the object in there as I can. I may adjust them. And then, of course, what I want you to do now is come back and capture each one of these views as we did before. I'll just snipping tool. Uh, Once again, I believe the Mac has a similar tool. So I would just snip this. And then what I want you to do is make sure you print this out in a landscape mode, not in a portrait mode, so that the image takes the whole uh, view. Okay, so if I go into print, I could save the snip, copy, mode. There should be a print here. File. There we go. Print. Control P. Um, and then I just print to whatever printer I'm connected to. If you need to print to an Adobe PDF and you've got Adobe PDF, Adobe Acrobat loaded Pro, then you can do that. Make sure you set number of copies, all selection, preferences, find printer if you need to find the printer. Uh, it's probably easier to just print it to your, if it's in black and white, that's fine. I don't care if it doesn't have to be in color, but if you want to print it to your printer, uh, that's probably the easiest thing to do. We just need 8.5 by 11 sheets, right? And we want you to put then, yeah, and once again, if you want to bring this into Adobe Illustrator and put text and everything in there, that's fine. If you just want to print very neatly your name and all the information we're asking for, then please do that just by hand printing. Uh, so preferences here, default standing letter, right? Somewhere in here, I need to tell it paper quality, black and white or color, layout. There we go. Instead of sending it to a portrait, I need to make sure I send it to a landscape, right? Uh, so anyway, apply, print. Uh, yeah, good enough. And so now I have a PDF version of that. and I can take it to the print bureau or whatever and print it out there if I want to, or I can just actually it's been resized too small in this case. Yeah, it should be covering this whole sheet. So, oh, zoom 100%. Yeah, it should be covering that whole sheet. I don't know what settings I did wrong, but anyway, print them all out, 7 copies, staple them together, put your name, date, time, course, uh, your discussion group leader, and everything on that, and turn it in. Thanks a lot.